Reddcoin is a decentralized digital currency that makes the process of sending and receiving money on social networks fun and rewarding for everyone. Think of it as the social currency for the digital age that enriches people's social lives and stays accessible to the billions of people around the world connected by social media. Reddcoin achieves this by providing a unique platform that allows people to seamlessly send money on any social network to anyone in the world, which revolutionizes the payment industry by introducing instant money transfer with 0% transaction fees to both senders and receivers. Anytime you read, listen to, or watch content on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or any other social network, the Reddcoin platform allows you to go beyond the favorite, like, or retweet buttons. It allows you to tip money instantly with a simple click of a button, to show more love and appreciation to family, friends, or followers, and to offer a new stream of income to content creators through micro-donations. Unlike Bitcoin, that uses the process of mining to generate new coins by consuming massive amounts of energy and computing power, Reddcoin uses a new environmentally friendly process called minting, which levels the playing field by allowing anyone to participate in the minting process, regardless of their technical abilities. Anyone can mint new Reddcoins with a laptop, tablet, or mobile phone on the go. Reddcoin also introduces a state-of-the-art social wallet that provides various social features to increase engagement among Reddcoin users. The Reddcoin protocol further rewards those who contribute to the security of the network by simply keeping their secure wallets connected online, which act as full nodes on the decentralized global Reddcoin network. Since its inception in early 2014, Reddcoin has already achieved the widest adoption on social networks across the world among all digital currencies. Anyone can join this revolution by downloading a wallet on Reddcoin.com and start sending, receiving, and minting new Reddcoins today.
Reddcoin is a cryptocurrency that allows tipping on social networks. So, say for example, you happen to have a favorite YouTuber. I don't know who that might be. But you could very easily send that person some Reddcoin via the tools and the blockchain and the cryptocurrency that Reddcoin has built and is continuing to develop. So I talked to John Nash, the lead developer, and by his own terms, kind of lead everything. We had a great conversation, and he can explain it much better than I can. So enjoy. All right. So John, welcome. And if you could, for all the viewers and me, just give us kind of the elevator pitch for Reddcoin, what it's all about, what its purpose is.
Yeah, sure. So Reddcoin basically, its premise is being the social currency. That's been its catchphrase since its inception back in January 2014. Basically, what we're trying to do is leverage a fast blockchain and very low transaction fees to be able to help facilitate micro donations, tipping, and primarily move across into a decentralized platform across that tipping arena. Our experience in the last 3 years has shown, or observations in the last 3 years have shown that centralized anything doesn't really work out the best for the masses. So we believe we're on the right idea. Everything in cryptocurrency it's a moving target. And but we're making some good progress, and we're still excited to see where this ends up going for the future.
Great. Yeah. So walk me through it a little bit. So the concept is, you see somebody on, let's say, Reddit. Instead of just upvoting, you then have the ability to tip them the Reddcoin token. Correct.
So basically, we've had our Reddit tip bots, our Twitter tip bots, Twitch, and back in the start, we also were in that arena. In fact, we still maintain those bots at the moment. Essentially, the premise is that it's identifying who the user is on the particular website and being able to reward them for. I like to use the word, give them some positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
Our goal is to try and have as much social network coverage as possible to be able to achieve that.
Yeah. So you mentioned the identifying the user. So this is something I think you guys are doing that's pretty interesting. Could you talk a little bit about, is it the Red ID? Is that what it's called?
Yep. So this all leverages off Red ID. And to give a little bit of background, this is something that's been in the works for quite some time. If you're not familiar with the history of Reddcoin, we've had developers previously who launched off trying to make this happen. And at the time, we were investigating a couple of different technologies that others were working on for identification. And it's one of the great things about open source is that you can follow that particular path or fork that code and take it in your own direction, which, it's why we're all here. We don't all follow just Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So essentially the idea behind Red ID is twofold. One is to have an ID that you own. That's a bit like an address. It's yours. You control a private key on it. It's associated with an address. And the second part is associating various social identities to that address. So just like you do it in tipping, you would tip to a user on a forum, and that would go into a tip bot who would manage your addresses in the background. You don't really see what that address is. So in providing an ID and associating social IDs or social network IDs to that ID, we're able to allow a user to be on Facebook, for example, and tip a user on Facebook. And the person who receives those funds could then go across to Reddit, for example, and see somebody they want to post against and take those funds from their account directly and tip that person in Reddit. So we're creating that ability to span different networks. You don't have to have it just for Reddit and just for Twitter, just for Facebook.
Now, using that system, obviously there's some privacy concerns there. So would someone be able to just, if they know me on Facebook and I've tipped them, would they then be able to track me down on Reddit or anything like that?
So everything obviously goes back to a user ID, so a user account ID. And yes, that is the challenge with, in operating in a social environment. You are exposing yourself to the broader community, and that's the challenge or risk that you have to take on if you want to be in the broad spectrum. But there's nothing to stop. I've mulled over this in my mind so many times over the years. Is this the right thing or the wrong thing to do? And it's what got me involved in the first place. And I think part of it is educating the masses that you don't want to have an open platform on your own social network. You want to control who can see you. So most networks will provide privacy settings. So even if I know what your ID is, I may not be able to post to your account. So a part of what we need to do as we roll out this network is provide methods for or to help users identify, lock down your accounts. It's just like your PC. You put a password on your PC for privacy reasons, and we do our banking on it. It's in that same length. And I'd like to take it further because it's a good topic on privacy, because as currencies become popular, obviously the value of those coins can increase tenfold or 100-fold in some cases. And across the broad spectrum of cryptocurrency, I don't believe in exclusively one cryptocurrency. I just don't think that works. And I think different networks do provide various forms of value. And what I've been working towards is allowing Reddcoin to be, we don't want to be the number one. We don't want to compete against Bitcoin or Ethereum. I think they're great products. They're being worked on, by awesome teams. But we provide another mechanism which removes the traffic from the networks and allow users to interchange into those networks. So, you did take companies like Shapeshift, for example, interfacing their API. So you can transact in Reddcoin when you want to cash out if you like. You want to convert that to Bitcoin or to fiat, then just like you would on an exchange, flip some coins across to a different format.
All right, so shift gears a little bit. I want to get your thoughts on. So, how is this all done from a user interface point of view?
Sure. So, one of the questions that keeps popping up, because I've kept it fairly low key, but I'm sure I could talk about it for the moment on the technology. We are not approaching any of the social networks for integrating into their platform. If I was Mark Zuckerberg and I wanted to put cryptocurrency tipping in there, I'd go hire 10 engineers and I'd have it working by the end of the week. And again, it's this philosophy. Do I want one entity controlling who I am or what I do, and I'm actually anti that. I'm an anti-establishment when it comes to somebody, wrapping my funds up into their control. So effectively, the technology it'll be a browser extension across Chrome or Safari, Firefox, and use it as a plugin, as a layer on the network. And I'm quite a firm believer in microservices and layers on networks to differentiate yourself and delineate yourself from being locked into a particular vendor. And further to that, if I was going to Facebook and saying, hey, I've got this really cool idea called Reddcoin, they would lock me up into so many contracts. I couldn't go across to Reddit, and I couldn't go across to Twitch, and I couldn't go across to, the story goes on. So I think in the broader spectrum, for most people who entered cryptocurrency early on, most people would say they were anti-establishment. The banks aren't doing right. I say the same thing about social networks. I enjoy social networks. Are they doing the right thing? He just wants my marketing dollar. He just wants me to be able to have ads up on my page, right? So this is my kickback, if you like.
So what is your role on the team? You're the lead developer, is that correct?
Yeah, I guess lead developer, mentor, bug shooter, you name it. I have quite a broad role, and we have a few guys sitting behind us who help out in marketing. Another developer helping out on the core wallet. But I guess to give you a little bit of a background, I entered the Reddcoin sphere quite early on in its inception. Just like most people in the day, sort of shiny eyes. Oh, going to make a lot of money from Reddcoin, and I got into mining like a lot of people do. But then as I sort of understood the process and what the original developers were trying to do, that's what this little spark went off in my mind. It's like, this actually has a lot of potential and unforeseen potential in developing this. And unfortunately, the original core team, for whatever reasons, moved on. It wasn't a bad departure, but they just couldn't fulfill the requirements. So I mulled over it for a little while, developed my plan and what I wanted to do with the coin, and then I took over in 2015 as basically lead everything, and invited people in to give a hand. And it is an open community where we invite anybody in for a discussion, good or bad or otherwise. So yeah, it's almost like a reset for us being a open project.
Yeah, that's great. So you mentioned, while we're talking about some more, developer-centric things, so Reddcoin doesn't really do the traditional mining that some people might be used to with things like Bitcoin. Could you explain how that works? Yeah,
sure. So originally, from the Genesis block through to September in 2014, we were a POW coin. We were based off script, and the goal there was to allow, with mining, was to allow a dispersion of coins. It's the bootstrap the user base, bootstrap those who are wanting to hold Reddcoin or use Reddcoin, and we got a fairly good distribution back then. And the original developer, Larry Wren, or Lord Me as he was known online, came up with a derivation of POS called POSV, proof of stake velocity. And it's basically, it takes proof of stake and does a few twists on the time algorithm to make it a non-linear reward system. So we use a change in the value of time to reward users slightly more or slightly less, with an average of 5% on their returns over a year. So the goal is that one of the problems with proof of stake is you buy coins, you put them in your wallet, and you just leave them there infinitely. So with Reddcoin, there's a fall off or a tail off period where once you exceed a certain period of time, the coin's percentage return will be slightly less than if somebody was moving their coins more frequently.
Okay. Does that have any effect on how long confirmations take or anything like that?
Nope. So we have a 1 minute block time. A typical transaction is from a I want to send you coins is 6 block confirmation time. For stake rewards, we have a 50 block confirmation time. So the coins are in a cooldown period before you can actually spend them for 50 blocks, which is just under an hour based on our timings.
Great. All right, so you're a developer. I've actually not talked to as many developers as I'd like, but a lot of the people that watch these videos are developers. You know, it's still
right.
High amount of tech people in this space. So for people out there, you know, I think your story is a perfect example of where you really saw a cryptocurrency you liked and got more involved, and you know, eventually became, you know, the lead developer,
Yep.
the lead everything. How do you suggest to people that, you know, are developers and have those technical skills and want to get into a project?
Yeah, it's actually a good question, because I've had people who are totally outside the sphere and either being invited in through friends of friends or whatever. And I guess there's a couple of layers to everybody's environment, whether you're at one end of the spectrum with Bitcoin, or you know, somewhere in the middle, bottom end like us, as we're growing, is you don't necessarily have to have the skills on crypto technology to be able to enter in. That's the first thing. You know, there's a whole slate of things that need to be done. You know, you have the core wallet, which is, you know, yes, everybody looks to for direction, but then there's a lot of service sitting around that. Whether it's it might be something like a blockchain explorer, or you want to change the look and feel. So when you say developer, it could be anything from a C++ coder or Java's coder for wallets, or could be a UI or UX designers. Everybody can get in. And in order to get into this sphere, it's really just opening a conversation with somebody who's, you know, comes across as being a lead in that environment, or somebody who in the I won't say the team, because I like to say we're a social network. You know, it's people who know people who know people, and if you identify somebody who's enthusiastic about the cryptocurrency, and you know, is talking up, saying this, you know, this is a really cool concept, you should get involved, is explore a little bit. It's like, what, you know, challenge yourself on what are these guys about, and that's how I got into Reddcoin. My original, you know, if I want to talk about my history a little bit, you know, yeah. I started off back in, well, I heard about Bitcoin way back when it was first announced, back in, or early, at least about 2010, I think it was when I first heard it. And I'm like, yeah, never work. So I let it sit for a couple of years, and you know, I was hearing it come up in the news. You know, there's lots of negative press around Bitcoin, and they were copying it, you know, bashing from press. And I'm thinking, wow, I wish I'd got involved that a few years earlier, like everybody.
Now, right?
Yeah. We'd be sitting here having a totally different discussion, I'm sure. But 2013, I got involved with Bitcoin and Litecoin originally, exploring what they're doing. You know, why was the press up in arms, and started getting involved, listening to conversations, jumping on Reddit, jumping on some of the blog posts that have been written, and reading between the lines. I think that's important. You know, on one side we have the press, who will always pitch a story to sensationalize whether it's going to be good or bad, and unfortunately, negative always tends to get the higher response. So, looking at what it's doing, and then looking at how people are using it, and trying to get things going. And I think at that time, trying to do Bitcoin ATMs was really hot on the list, and I'm thinking, this is really cool. I also was involved in doing overseas remittances. You know, I have family overseas. You know, how do you get currency to a different country? I could start seeing, you know what, putting all the negative press aside, there's actually really cool tech here. So it's understanding, for anybody, you know, it doesn't matter whose team you want to get involved in. It's understanding what are these guys about. You know, is this some hack who has, you know, a 3-week plan and a get out and a get out clause, which unfortunately has evolved a lot over the years, or is this project something long term? Are these guys, you know, they've got a big team behind them? If I'm going to join in, it's like, do I have to compete against 10 guys to be able to get some code onto a code base, or am I going to be closer to the core group and be a little bit, you know, friends or family? You know, it's you know, it's all these different things that weigh up. And you know, I look across all the projects. You know, there's been some great project launches over the years, and some people say, "Oh, why don't you get involved?" And I started to. I actually looked into Ethereum very early on, and I spoke to the core team quite a bit when they first launched on Reddit. Again, when a project's in its infancy, they hadn't launched any code. There was lots of talk for probably 12 months before they launched, and the timing for me at that time was not right. You know, it's Reddcoin had a vision just a small, trying to tackle a small component in a much broader sphere of influence. So I've watched Ethereum grow, and I still see opportunities for collaboration, and that's one of the other things I like to try and talk about with people is maybe what we do is not right for you, and you want to go to that other team, but I still see an opportunity for being say, how can we bridge the differences between these networks? Some people could say Dogecoin was our competitor. I actually say no. I've spoken with their developers. I think they're a great bunch of guys to collaborate with. Both ways we have experiences, dealing with people, dealing with technology, dealing with price, all those things. So, and I reach out to communities. I've helped other developers also when they've had problems trying to, either bootstrap a project. I've helped them generate Genesis blocks through to troubleshooting, block issues and things. And I think that's if you get past all the FUD that goes on around in different communities, a lot of the guys who are very close to the project, whether it's a developer or somebody in marketing, generally are quite reachable. Nobody's going to tell you to F off. It's usually the lower layers. I think everybody wants the technology to succeed. We've fought so hard to become accepted in the banking sphere, the government sphere. That's now getting acceptance, right? You look around the world, it's taken a long time of and a lot of hard work by a lot of people to get that acceptance. And I think every cryptocurrency should owe it to themselves to embrace that and talk to the people who paved the way. Yeah, that's my soapbox. Sorry.
That's fun. Yeah, I think that was very well spoken. Thank you. I think that's something people need to hear. I've had the same experience with communities being very open and being willing to talk to me and things like that. It's a very friendly place once you get in there.
It can be daunting. It's who likes talking to geeks? It's one of those. It's like the nerdy guy over there with the glasses, and I do try and get away from it. That's not my background. Well, I could probably argue with myself on that one, but I don't try and portray that. I like to be approachable, and I'll get on forums and talk. Just talk over the water cooler type of thing about anything. I've got some good life experiences to. I'm not just locked up in an office. I've got out and done stuff as well. So I think it's a challenge. On one side you want people, super focused. Got to get that product out. And on the other side, you have to engage with your user base, and that can be tough. So, as the guy, and that's why I sort of say mentor as well, because you want to be able to talk to people and say, hey, have you thought about this? Or somebody will come to you with this, very interesting idea. It may not quite fit within the scope of what the core team is doing, but give them some ideas. Say, okay, you need to go and have a look at this, or you need to go do some research on that, or this doesn't really fit at all in what we're doing. You might need to go talk to this team over there. So,
So speaking about what the team is doing, what big things can we expect from Reddcoin in the next few years?
So in the next few years, at the moment, 100% focuses on probably three aspects. One, we're trying to keep the core wallet moving forward. We're not doing too much innovation at the wallet side of things. Just keeping pace. Actually, not so much keeping pace, but just lagging behind some of the other bigger brothers, if you like. We've look at the discussions on scalability with it's been going on now for so long, and there will be something that will impact us. With Bitcoin's had led the charge with many different solutions offered up. I watch Litecoin quite closely. The guys there are doing a great team, and they just have activated SegWit. I think there's some good opportunities there with the launch of that, and some of the functionality that comes with that. I see some benefits there for crypto generally. So I watch those two guys quite closely. But in doing that means that we can't stay super relevant. My goal is to with the core is just operate as a blockchain validator, if you like, and ultimately it'll also be the Red ID validator on the side. but I don't like wrapping. I don't like having monolithic applications. So microservices is the preferred method. So I'm trying to delineate where I can and not put all the eggs in one basket. So that's on the core side. So we have 1.5 guys doing that. So we've got another developer who's working on the core, and myself who touches base and bounces ideas off as well. RedID is probably the main push at the moment. So I've been owing updates for our community for such a long time now. I've been holding off because of circumstantial more than anything. I really hate pump and dump, which we're actually currently in the middle of at the moment. It's got a lot of attention, and that actually has achieved 2 things in this route. Redcoin's been around a long time, and a very, very low price. We haven't been able to launch, so to speak. We had sort of a bit of a kickoff in 2014, and the price just never really took off from there, which I'm not actually interesting enough. It doesn't faze me at all. Like, being a low price coin doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing from a technology point of view, from a usability point of view. It's usually the people who want to try and profiteer off that. And, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Everybody should be able to make something from where they put their money. But at the same time, it keeps us at a slightly under the radar to be able to do development without being interfered with or causing interference with others. So for RedID, the back end of that is just about done. I'd say it's probably about 95% done there. I have a few little tweaks with a screwdriver to do as I do the front end, and I'm working on the front end of that. And one of the things I have always maintained, it's got to be so easy, mate. It's got to pass the grandmother test.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to interfacing with social networks. We have everything from 10-year-old kids up to mothers and grandmothers who may not be technically advanced. So it's trying to create that user experience, and at the moment I'm doing the core. I'm keeping those cards all close to my chest at the moment, just releasing little updates if you've seen them floating around, just to give people an idea of what are we doing, how is this going to work, and I feel comfortable, and I'll go away from the interface for a little while, then come back after a week or so and go, yes, I still understand how this works from a very putting yourself in that simple. I just have to click, and I'm away.
Yeah.
So getting all that working, that's my main focus at the moment for RedID. And then the third thing that I mentioned, we want to touch on, is the actual thing we call social X, or the social experiment. Is we see a little bit with some of these blockchain social networks like Steemit, where you get upvotes, and it sort of creates this momentum on the network. Well, we're taking it to the next level. It's not just the momentum within a single network. It's trying to create momentum across the internet, across different social networks. So, and this goes, there's so many branches in this discussion because it comes down to privacy and things like that. But the basic goal is that as people are tipping particular links, whether it's on Facebook, Reddit, YouTube, or whatever, it's creating a score for that particular link. And some of the things we're looking at is how many times is it being tipped, how much is it being tipped, does this user ID have a general a movement towards that ID, and creating some scale on that particular link, so that if you're, for example, like yourself, you're a great blogger, you're doing videos and you're attracting users to tip on your site, you want to be able to attract more people, right? So the goal here is to be able to create this social score, if you like, of who gets tips, who gets their comments reinforced, and that's my social X component, which I'm also working on alongside. So all these 3 things need to merge together at one time, and we put out a roadmap several months ago, back in September last year, where it's quite a linear roadmap, but in fact everything has to happen in parallel. So it's all merging towards a date, and when it is time, we have a few little tricks for the launch date too. It's not going to be a date. It's going to be a randomly selected period of time where there will be effectively a reward. Or part of the ID system is it's not free. You don't get an address for free. You'll pay a fee to have that ID because we see it as having something of value. If for example, if I have a really great social page and I finally get tired of that or want to monetize that, I could sell the whole lot across to somebody else as a transaction. So I could pass the ownership of that to somebody else. So we're looking at providing some value to actually having an ID. And so basically anybody who wants an ID, you'll pay a fee for that. And that fee is returned back to the network. So going back to proof of stake, as a fee on the network, if the ID costs me, 10,000 red coins, so I pay my 10,000 red coins, the person who actually confirms that block will get the 10,000 red coins in their pocket. So on top of the normal network staking value that we get for generating blocks, they'll get a bonus reward in their pocket. So this will help, we believe, with distribution of wealth. At the moment we have a little bit top heavy in the distribution. What I'm trying to do is encourage people that spread the love a little bit. Spread what you've earned around with others, and we see this as a way of achieving that.
Yeah, so check out Reddcoin. That's REDDCOIN. While you're here at the channel, check out some interviews I have with some of the other development teams around the world. Have a great day.